The Tarrazú region of Costa Rica is home to some of the world's greatest coffees. Here, coffee farms stretch as far as the eye can see. Tarrazú coffee is highly regarded, and buyers descend on these verdant hillsides from around the world. Locals say the coffee here gets its special taste from the combination of volcanic soil, a cool moist climate, and high altitudes. Camilo Solis is a coffee farmer. This farm has been in his family for 3 generations, and like most in this region, coffee is his life. But like so many farmers here, Camilo has had to find new ways to optimize his yield and income in order to cope with the dramatic fluctuations of the price of coffee in the international market.
With coffee prices the way they are now, it is important for us to look for the best price we can get for our coffee.
Camilo is not alone in feeling the pinch. In the late 1990s, global coffee production increased considerably, resulting in a surplus that drove prices down, preventing many farmers from earning enough to cover their production costs. Today, farmers like Camilo get a better price for their coffee by doing business with one of the principal coffee buyers in the region, Starbucks. As the world's leading retailer of coffee, Starbucks Coffee Company has been working with coffee growers like Camilo to not only ensure that farmers get a fair price for their coffee, but also that the coffee is grown sustainably. This is done under a program called Coffee and Farmer Equity, or CAFE Practices, which was launched in 2004. Starbucks has over 15,000 retail locations globally, and in 2007 purchased 352 million pounds of coffee, which represents 2% of total world coffee production. As a company reliant upon producers like Camilo, Starbucks understand the importance of having a sustainable supply chain. The CAFE Practices program aims to ensure the sustainable supply of high-quality coffee, while promoting social responsibility and the protection of the environment along the coffee supply chain.
The mission of CAFE Practices is to be able to address the 4 important pillars of what makes a good coffee, starting with quality, and then ensuring economic transparency, as well as always having a plan to address and continue to improve upon social responsibility and environmental guidelines.
The initiative is designed to be inclusive of all types of suppliers, regardless of their size, from small family farms and cooperatives to large estates. In 2004, Starbucks took this initiative a step further by opening a Farmer Support Center in Costa Rica. The Starbucks Farmer Support Center works with local cooperatives, like this one in Cope Tarrazú, to engage producers to implement CAFE practices. In 2007, the Farmer Support Center held 30 training sessions with more than 600 producers and processors, and conducted technical visits to over 250 farms and 100 mills. The center has been so successful, Starbucks hope to introduce similar centers in Africa in the near future.
The coffee farmers will benefit from of spending time with our agronomists in this farm we are here at Costa Rica. Our agronomists work with them to improve the yields by 20%, reduce the amount of pesticides and other inputs that they would have to apply, and so therefore you had a double benefit of increased yields and reduction of costs of operation.
Based on a continuous improvement model, CAFE practices focus on 4 key areas: economic accountability, product quality, social responsibility, and environmental leadership. Verification is done by an independent third party. For example, when growing or processing coffee, measures must be in place to manage waste, protect water quality, conserve water and energy use, preserve biodiversity, and reduce agrochemical use. No application of agrochemicals is allowed within 10 meters of any water body, and non-synthetic fertilizer use is kept to a minimum. In 2007, Starbucks began a 3-year partnership with Earthwatch, an NGO that promotes the sustainable conservation of natural resources. Together, they set about creating ways to improve soil health and conservation in coffee farms.
Farmer Support Center promotes environmental conservation basically by reviewing and helping farmers understand how cafe practices work. And it's not only focused on increasing yield, but also at the same time conserving soils and water resources.
Practices were also put in place to ensure safe, fair and humane working conditions, the protection of workers' rights and adequate living conditions. For farmers like Camilo, the project provides the support and stability they need, but perhaps more importantly, the right price. In 2007, Starbucks paid an average of $1.43 per pound of coffee.
The best price that is out there can only be obtained by following these techniques developed by Starbucks.
Since the implementation of the Cafe Practices program and the opening of the Farmer Support Center, Starbucks has seen the yields of some farms increase by as much as 20%. The use of chemical pesticides and fertilizer has also been reduced by as much as 80% in some cases. Starbucks now purchases 65% of their coffee from Cafe Practices verified and approved suppliers, which is over 228 million pounds of coffee. The company's aim is to increase this amount to 80% by 2013.
Starbucks project allows us to be sustainable both in terms of the farm itself, but also in terms of our community. We also implement what we have learned into our everyday lives. This also has an impact on our economy because that too is sustainable.